And, ooh, that was weird. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm Steve Leahy. This is Thursday Live. I hope you guys are having a great week. And that's still up.
Afternoon.
See, I didn't check the volume on that thing. There are too many things. I need a tech manager to run all the feeds for me. So how are you guys doing? Hopefully, really well. It's been a great week here. There are two things that I'm doing, or actually three things I'm doing for SEMA, and the last kind of thing was done yesterday, which was great. So I did the Rupees Bigfoot Polisher. So I'm fortunate to be one of the 12 artists that were chosen for that. And if you're not familiar with SEMA, SEMA is the big aftermarket automotive show. It's a huge show in the United States. They have it in Vegas at the end of October. And it basically wheels out or drags out all the brand new aftermarket products, which also includes paint and things like that. It's just a huge show. So there's a bunch of companies that I use their products, and it's great. Every once in a while I'll be asked to kind of do something for their booth. So Rupees was great. They run a program called the Big Art of Bigfoot every year. And there are 12 artists that they choose, and each one of the artists produces a paint job on one of these buffers directly on the buffer. And then they put them up in the booth, and it's cool. So the other thing that happened was Car Rep, which makes a 2-part clear and primer for automotive use and really whatever use. It's just a cool product. So they have a booth too, and they have a display called Art of the Can, I think, or something like that. It happened so fast, I didn't even have a chance to really get into it and look. But anyway, they sent out a bunch of primed, empty cans that they use for their products. So they're having a bunch of artists paint those. So I didn't think I was going to be able to get mine done, but I kind of put everything aside at the beginning of the week, and I finished my entry up for that. So that is on its way. I shipped that out today. I was going to show you live, but I really wanted to get it on the road. But I will post pictures of that tomorrow. So that's all that's going on. Those are all done. And then I also am donating a big painting to the fundraiser at the SEMA opening party at Hogs and Heifer, which is put on by our friend Mickey Harris, who is an amazing airbrush artist. So all the airbrushes and painters go there. I think it's the Thursday before everything opens, and they have a big party and fundraiser and panel jam, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, so I donated a real painting, not a real painting, but a high-end painting to that. So hopefully that earns them some money for their charity. So that's what I got. All right, let's get to it. We're going to be working on the Bugatti painting today because I do have a couple more 543s to do before the weekend, but we did that last week, so we'll do something a little bit different today. Let me switch real quick to show and tell, and I will say hello to everyone too. There we go. Paul, what's up? Adrian, Michael McClung, what's up? Michael, I love seeing those green letters. That's awesome. Thank you for being a member. Big Mountain, what's up? Dan and Tone, what's going on? Tone, that wall was amazing. I don't know how you guys do that in the middle of the night. Here we go. All right. And Tone, I love the ad. Not really an ad, but your promo video that you posted today. That was really good. It made me want to get some custom painted sneakers. Actually, the boots are really cool. The Timberlands. I was going to say the Timberlakes, but those aren't what those are. All right, so that's what we're doing today. We're not looking at that though just yet. So I have 2 of the 543s that are left from Monday, and ironically, one of them is kit. So this is what we did last week, and I finished it up after the feed. I just did the rest of the body and all that stuff. Actually, let me do this. There we go. So that's how that came out. I actually thought this was going to go, and I think it's cool. I always like these because this was pretty much done live. So if you own this painting, you also by default have the video of it being created, which I always think is kind of cool. So that's still up on the site if anyone is interested in it. I know this is kind of the UK, the GMT feed, the YouTube one. However, I could certainly ship all over the world, wherever the USPS will deliver. A couple notes. On these, I do cover the shipping, so you won't pay shipping on these. If you have it framed, though, be careful, because you and I end up splitting the framing shipping costs, because the shipping cost for frame, once you frame it, it jumps up quite a bit. So I end up splitting the framing cost with my international friends, or not the framing cost. I'm sorry. I end up splitting the shipping when it's framed. But if you just want it the way they normally come, which is, all matted and ready to go, which I probably recommend, because again, I can cover the shipping if it just goes out in the envelope. What else? Oh, that's the other thing too. I just shipped a painting to London, and it took 4 weeks to get to the destination. It was actually in London for 5 weeks. It was in London for 4 weeks. It took a week to get to London. That just sat in the distribution center. So that's my other word of caution. If you order internationally, sometimes things take long because they do dumb things with them. So, all right, next one up. And the only other one I have is Space, the Final Frontier. This is the original Enterprise, the 1966 Enterprise. And there we go. So that's how that one came out too. So those two are the only two that are available from this week's lot of 543s. All right, so that camera's in the right spot-ish, so we'll move that and we'll get going. Yes, again, thank you so much to my YouTube members, you guys. That was it's a blast to have you on board, and that support is hugely awesome in the face, because it helps me keep things going. Steve, I'm going to miss you when you're done with that Harley painting. I'm joying for being the end. So thank you, Michael. Yeah, we're coming down to the end with that, which it's been over a year now that I started that. There's 60 episodes altogether so far. The good news is the next Open Studio is going to be a razor blade painting. So not only will it be shorter as far as number of episodes, but you guys get to kind of see a whole razor blade. Yeah, Tone, just point and spray. Okay, yeah, right. I can't even wrap my head around working that big mountain. Stupid question was, what does 543 mean? That's not a stupid question at all. So it came about, that's just upside down. It came about because these paintings here, when I started doing them, I was originally raffling off a chance to win them. And to make it cool, I decided to do 5 of them a week. So that's where the 5 comes from. The 4 and 3 come from the dimensions. So all these paintings are 4 inches by 3 inches, or, I paint them vertically too, but they're still, 3 by 4. So that's where the name came from. That's a good question. I like it. Cody Adams, what's up? I think it's cool to also have the video. Show my friend's Buzz video. Yeah, that's right, Dan. That's right. Yeah, it's kind of fun because, like, for instance, the Open Studio paintings, whoever gets those, and then that's the marble one is still available, even though that was only, actually, you know what? Except for Brad's, I still have 2 of the Open Studio paintings. The Chevelle I still have that painting. That's available, and obviously the the Harley painting isn't finished yet, but that's going to be available too. So yeah, if you have either one of those, you literally have every second of that painting live. I mean, that you can have with your painting. JC, what's up, buddy? Adrian, what's going on? I think I said hello. Awesome. Okay, so let's get to it. So we're gonna jump to this. I'm gonna figure out a better camera angle for you guys. My plan is I got some stuff. Well, we'll just get into it. Let me move this over a little bit so you're more in line with it and not so off the side. I just gotta make sure I can do this so that my big fat head is not in the way. There we go. Yeah, and if you are interested in becoming a member on the YouTube channel or on Patreon, the YouTube channel, there's just one tier, as there is just with Patreon as well. I decided to keep that really, really simple, so that way there aren't like a million tiers and all that stuff. So the YouTube membership, I'm trying to work out how to do early access right now, and it's just a matter of me figuring it out. But you get the usual fun stuff with being a member. First number one is you're supporting what I do here, which is monumental. Then you get your name and lights, which is green. Excuse me. And you also get the icon next to your name, the Less L icon, and you get special emojis. And the more members I have, the more emojis I can put in there. But I have some fun ones in there. There's a Createx bottle and a razor blade and some other stuff. Da, 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 da. I know, Simon. I missed you, buddy. There we go. And then Patreon, it's a little bit more for Patreon a month. However, what you get there is you do get access to your very own open studio that's exclusive to all the YouTube members. I mean, I'm sorry, the Patreon members. So it is the video's on YouTube, but you can't see it unless you are a Patreon member. All right. So let me catch you up on this. So when we did this last a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was Mark who was on, I'll mention him in a second. So what I did was I finished the grill, not finished, but I worked on the grill after the feed was over. And there was someone in the comments when I did this 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks, when I was, kind of doing all these little diamonds individually. And that commenter asked, well, why don't you just, paint the lines diagonally, like, just paint them all out instead of painting each individual one. So the thought process originally when I started the grill was that the grill is like a chain link fence. So those little wires essentially go in and out as they pass around each other. So if I painted all of them like I did here, it looks very flat and not like what it really is. So that's why I decided to try to paint them individually. I got all the stuff done with you guys, and then I kept going with that. And then when I sat back, it just didn't look right. It looked messy. It didn't look lined up. It just wasn't looking right. So that's a good instance when you kind of cut your losses and start over. So I literally resprayed the black part of the grill and erased all that essentially. And what I did was I ended up doing what I think it was Mark who said it. If it was you and you're on, just mention it to me because you'll know who you are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hybrid of both. So I took a gray and I used a ruler. And what I did was I just, well, this is not the paintbrush I used. There we go. So I just used the paintbrush and then I just painted all the lines in both directions. So that gave me the layout of the grid. I'm going to do a little bit with you guys right now with this, but we're not going to do the whole thing because it's going to take me hours to do it. Ah, Big Mountain, thank you. What could go wrong? Welcome to the family, the membership family. You guys are all part of the family, but welcome to the membership family in your shiny green name. Once I get into the whole, the backside of the membership thing, I'm definitely going to have more perks with being a YouTube member, especially as the channel continues to grow. So so thank you for being charter members. You guys are going to not regret it. I'm going to have a bunch of other fun perks and other stuff as soon as I get it rolling. Bobby Silva, what's up, buddy? Another member. Yay. All right. Yeah, it's neat. It's incentivized on my end too, as far as the membership. Again, it's automatically incentivized because your monthly thing helps keep everything rolling around here. But on the other side of it, like for the perks, YouTube will release the ability to do certain perks as you get more members. So the more members we have, the more perks we have. So it's a lot of fun. All right. So what I'm going to do, let me switch on palette cam. Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome. All right, let me switch on the palette cam here. Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. What am I doing? That one. All right. It's a little bit narrow, but you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a light gray. So I'm just going to mix up that on the side because I don't really have anything here on the palette. And again, this is a Winsor & Newton watercolor brush, and it's the one I've been using lately is the 00. So again, I'll say it again. If you're looking to buy this brush or to use it for the super detail, Just do yourself a favor and pick up the 00 and the 0. That'll give you just about all the brush you need for all the super detail. They're a little bit different, but they're different enough. It'll run you about $40 US for the two of them, but it's definitely worth it. All right, the camera's gonna have to move, but I'll show you what I'm gonna do. So I've got the light gray, and again, I'm not gonna do this with you guys all over the place because it's gonna take just too long. So what I gotta do is I gotta make sure this is flowing off the brush, and I'm just gonna I got my hand in the right spot. Here we go. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to end up, and this is going to seem insane because it is. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to pick out the highlights on the upper sides of the diamond. This isn't working. Hold on. I'm going to move cameras because I got to be able to see what I'm doing. You guys are going to have to be at an angle a little bit, but I think it'll be worth it. Come on, man. Oy. Why is that not moving? There it is. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, because you guys got to be able to see what I'm doing. And I got to be able to see what I'm doing too. Nice. Okay. And with that, my paintbrush dried out. Okay, so I'll pick some that you guys can see. So what I'm going to end up doing is just putting the highlights. I know this seems insane, but it's going to work. And I'll do a bunch of this just so you can kind of see what it's going to look like in the end. And lucky for you, I can't talk and do this at the same time. Because if I do, it's weird. The vibrations from talking translate into the brush. So do another bunch of them here. So the goal with this right now is just to get enough of them done so you get the idea. But again, you can see why this would be like the worst of feeds if I just did this all day with you guys. And you guys can't see because it's not in focus. I think that's focused. All right. And I'm trying not to have to go get the jumbo lens on because we don't need it for the rest of this, but for this makes sense. And the brush dried out. I can see other corner of my eye. I can see comments popping up. I'll grab those in a second. Hang tight. So I'm going to draw you a little diagram when I'm done with a few of these, just so you can get the idea of what I'm actually doing here, because it's really, really hard to see because it's so small. There we go. All right, but you get the idea, right? See how, let me move this over and I'll refocus it so you can see the kind of the final result here. Yeah, if I straighten it out, you'll be able to see it better. And I can focus it. All right, there we go. Last weekend we had our meetup at the UK Airbrush Forum. Lots of people had great things to say about you and Scott's feed. Ah, dude, that's awesome. Oh man, that makes me happy. All right. Oh, that really makes me happy. Thanks, Simon. All right, so can you see the difference, obviously, in the part that I just did? See how that now looks like they're kind of moving in and out? So it was really the solution ended up being the best of both worlds. I had my, thing in my head where I was just going to do what I just did with on a black, with just the, right on the black. But then having the grid work already in there did two things. One, it gives me an idea of where stuff is supposed to go, obviously. But second, and here's what I was talking about with the, I'll show you what I was doing in my pencil out. All right, so I'll draw you the kind of the microscopic version of this. So here are the paintbrush lines that I have in there already. These are gray. I don't know why ZZ came up there. Must have been because I heard that. Yeah, nice. It's not bad having ZZ Top come up. All right. So here, that's basically the grid, right? So what I'm doing with the paintbrush is this. So I have my hand tilted like this. So I'm pulling the brush this way in a line. What I do, this is exactly what's going on. So I touch the bristle right here. Well, let me get the other side of this so you can see where it starts. So I start the stroke here, really like just touch the painting so the paint starts to flow off the brush. And then what I'm doing is I'm just kind of pressing it down a little bit as I finish the stroke. So I'm doing these little reversed teardrops. Obviously, it would be nice to put it on this side like this, but there we go. That's too much to ask for the size of this. It's microscopic. So if I can get it just in there like that, I'm a happy camper. And that's how the paintbrush works. So you touch it on the surface. Just get, with this brush, if you just like touch it really like right at the very tip of it, you get this microscopically small dot, and that's when the paint starts flowing, and then you just drag it straight. But as I'm dragging it, I'm also pushing it down a little bit. And when I say a little bit, well, again, here's that brush. Those bristles are tiny, right? So it doesn't take much as you're doing this to have it spread out a little bit. You just have to lean into it a little bit. And what's nice is after you do, well, I'm going to be doing 1 billion of these on this grill. I'll get even faster with it. So while it seems like it's going to take hours and hours, it's not going to take me long to just kind of mindlessly run through it. And the result is going to be, something in the end that looks really exactly like it should. So that's where I'm with that. All right, that's all the time we're going to spend on that part of it. We're going to move on to the body because I need a break from that. So let me move you guys back over here a little bit, and that way you're out of the way-ish, but still okay. So if you have any questions, shoot them out there. That's what we're there for. Yes, Simon, it's exactly it. I didn't want to call it a dagger stroke because I don't know that that's what they call it in the paintbrush world, but it's exactly what it is. It's a reverse dagger stroke to get that like that. And it's going to have a really neat effect. It's going to look the way it should, basically. And the other fun part about it is it's going to be difficult to figure out. You guys now know, but it's going to be difficult for people to figure out how that was done. All right. I am unprepared, so let's do this. I'm only unprepared because I don't have the photograph ready. All right. So this is by the way, I believe this is a Type 35 Racer from Bugatti. So if I want to sound pretentiously Italian, I am Italian, so I can do that, but I don't do it well. So there's that too. Honey Rivera, you're the best, honey. Thank you so much, honey. And of course, that is just an amazing way to show your love and support. Those super thanks. We send a thanks on a video, which is now an option. If you're watching a video and it really does something for you and you want to specifically say thanks about a video that I've got on my channel, that's a great way to do it. Again, all that stuff goes to, cameras and lighting and all kinds of fun stuff. So thank you so much, honey. You're awesome. And cheers to honey as I drink my coffee. So appropriate for honey. All right. So anyway, this is the Bugatti off the side here. I should just finish the body. I think that's going to be the way to go. I think. Yeah. Why not? All right. There's all kinds of... Dan, what's up? If I didn't say hello. Sangma, hello. And I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to butcher your name, unfortunately. It's not that I don't care and love you. It's just I'm terrible. And so feel free to correct me if well, let's rephrase that. Correct me when I mispronounce your name, because I have a name. My last name is Leahy, and it's Irish, and it is frequently mispronounced. So I'm more than used to having that happen on my end. So just correct me and I will get it right. All right, so let's do this. I've got all the red blocked off right now. So I've got the dark red and I've got the light red. What I need to do next with all this red is there is a very light transition between the light parts of this. They have a brightness to them in some areas. And I got to get that done. So the good news is I can use the original template that I used to paint in that red. No, the highlights. Do I have the highlights? I don't, because I painted it pink first. Okay. Haha. Hello, challenge. Yeah, let me show you a good trick. So I don't know how much I've done live on this, and I also don't know where I've done it, but so I'm going to assume that I did it on the other platform, so you guys aren't missing anything. What I did to get this originally was I painted this pink color in all the parts of the body first, like that. And then what I did was I cut out another template with the darker red parts, the actual real red part. That's the red of the car. I cut out a template with that, and then I painted in the red. So looking at this fender, what happens is you can kind of see it here. See how it's really light on the top and then it fades into this little bit darker pink? I got to get that fade in there. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab the airbrush and I'm going to grab the Micron. And I'm super happy because yesterday was spa day because I needed to. It was in the middle of the car rep can and both brushes decided they weren't going to have any more of my shenanigans and they stopped working. So I ended up taking the day and cleaning them out. The other thing I'm back to, because I did so much airbrushing the past few days, is I put the trigger pad back on. These are from Grex. And they fit on most triggers. They even fit on the Micron. But when my hands are all cramped up, I find these pads really work well to alleviate that. You can't buy the pads separately. You got to buy the whole, like the pad and the, they do sell the comfort part. So they'll sell you this and the pad together. You can get that, I think you can get that at Spray Gunner, and I know you can get that at Merry Artist, the Merry Artist. Marshall, what's Lewis? Lewis, I'm going to do it every time. I call him Marshall all the time. That's all right. Some of my good friends call me Leahy, so I'll just go with that. All right. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't know where in the UK who has Grex, so I'm sure you can hit their website up, and they're also Trigger Happy, which is another company that makes a lot of the comfort grips and trigger pads and stuff. Their trigger pad didn't really work that well for me just because of the shape, but that stuff is all personal preference. It's not that it wasn't good by any stretch, it was just the way that it was shaped. But all right, so I've got white in here, and this is over reduced. This is 1 to 5, so it's 1 part paint to 5 parts reducer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that fade in. Now what I'm not going to worry about is the red, and I'll show you why in a second. So I'll get this flowing, and then I'm just going to put that fade in. Again, I'm not worried about the red above it. There's one. So I'll take a look at the others. Looks like it goes from, it goes from, there's not too much of it on there, actually. There is some on the body, so same deal here. I'm just going to really lightly kind of put this fade in. Oh, it's definitely on this side too. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. All right, clean that out. So because that red is so thin, and I'm sorry, the white is so thin, and I just used it to do that fade, it's really easy to just now throw the red back in. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of red, not mix it up, but I'm going to reduce it. So this entire painting series is based off of this color, Pyrrole Red. This is the opaque Pyrrole Red from Createx, which I love, love, love. It's a great red. So this, I'm just going to reduce this a little bit, probably about, I don't know, 100%. So I put about a drop of reducer in there with a drop of paint. What's nice about the opaque colors, the new opaque colors from them, you don't have to add 40, 50 to any of those at all. They have a different binder, so they don't need to add any 40, 50 to it. You certainly can, but you don't need to at all. All right, so I'm going to flip this upside down. I said I'm going to flip this upside down. Magnets. Here we go. Because at the angle of attack here is I got to be with the template. So I'm now going to take the red template, and I'm just going to spray that red back in. So I didn't have to mask it off. I didn't have to cover any, I don't have to cut out any new templates or anything. I need a big magnet. Oh, it's big enough, I guess. And grab my patented template holder downer, which is a broken or, cut bamboo meat skewer. This isn't the fancy one. The fancy one, I've shown this before. So these are just regular meat skewers you get at the grocery store. And I sharpen one end, and then the other end I flatten it or not flatten it, but I carve it and flatten it out like a little screwdriver. So that just lets me hold down different parts of the template. So I'm going to hold down that part so I don't get any paint on the fade that I just did. And I'm just going to really lightly, once I get the red going, there we go. Just really lightly respray that red back in. I knew that was going to happen. It's not enough, magnet's not strong enough to hold on. So the air literally blew it off the board. Yup. So I'll move that just so you can see it, and now that's all cleaned up like it was meant to be. Get it? So the other way to do it is if I had this shape cut out, this light colored shape cut out already, I could have just used that, that cutout to spray in the fade, but I didn't because this pink was already on there. So I had to kind of think about it in reverse. So I'm just going to clean up the other side of it too, the body, and then I'm going to kind of show you a technique for these paper templates that might help you out a little bit too. So let me get this lined up. I have a frog in my throat. Okay, so there we go. So it's all cleaned up. That's probably off a little bit, but I think I can fix that. I'm not worried about that. Okay. Careful, Steve. Simon. I've done dumber things. Oh, spa day. Yeah, Lewis. It's one of those things, man. You know what? I love it that post did really well because it's something that really resonates with a lot of artists. And it doesn't matter if it's airbrush or not. If you're a watercolorist and you use your brushes until they're, wiped out, you have to take some time and clean them out, really clean them out. Like this brush is in dire need of that. But, I think it resonates for everyone. And I try to use the equipment term as well, as it works with everything. If you have a piece of equipment and you just get product out of it, you just get production out of it all the time and never do any maintenance, it is going to crap out on you at the worst possible time. That is the rule of the universe. And it proved true to me because I knew for a couple of weeks now it's getting to the point where my brushes really need to be pulled apart. But I kept pushing it and pushing it. I was in the middle of the car rep thing. It had to be done this week. And both brushes decided that they weren't going to work anymore. So the moral of that story is don't wait. All right. Oh, I was going to show you a trick. Okay, so it's not really a trick, but it's something that might help you out with this stuff. So, getting a clean edge with a template, any template, no matter what you're using. So you're using, one of these skull templates or whatever. Actually, I will use a skull template. It's easy to see, and I'll use a red because I got it. All right. So if you take this thing and just like hose this down like hard, like this, first off, you're going to get underspray all over the place. Plus you're going to get spider webbing too. But see how soft and fuzzy that is? Like even though this is a really hard template, right? The edges are really clean and hard, but that I hit it so hard and so wet with paint, the air blows up the template, and then the wet paint doesn't have a chance to stick to where you're spraying, and it just kind of fuzzes out underneath the template. So this is extremely common to have this happen with these templates, any kind of templates, whether you're cutting your own or you're using one of the pre-made ones. So a good habit to get into with these, if you really want a nice clean edge and don't want to have to use adhesive on it, and it's really simple, but it's something you have to keep in your head all the time. Let me just dry this off because I literally got wet paint all over this. Is this. So you know that just, oh, that's not what I want. That's what I want. So you want it really, a hard edge, right? So a couple things you can do is, one, you can make sure that it's pushed down. Like I didn't have I didn't have any help on that at all. So when I'm spraying this, the air is getting underneath and holding it up. So again, that's where this little guy comes in handy. This will allow you to hold down the template in certain spots while you're working, and keeping it tight on the surface will give you that hard edge. The other thing, which is almost more important, is even if I have to get this to full saturation, and I'll do this on this skull, even if I have to get this to full saturation, I still want to develop this in multiple light layers, because here's the deal. If I'm just putting a light layer of paint on there, as soon as that light layer hits, it dries. And that means the paint is just going where I want it to go. If I really hammer this thing and hit it, again, the paint goes on, it's wet everywhere, and it can't stick to where you want it to stick to. It just goes everywhere. So if you do those two things, like if you hold down the template, number one, and then number two, you develop in really light layers as I move this thing. Let's try that again without sucking. Hold on. There we go. Two magnets are better than one. So I work with really light layers on this thing, and I'm holding it down in certain spots where I know that the air is kind of hitting it harder, meaning the meat skewer is usually opposite or aimed at the end of the airbrush like this, depending on how I'm going. That's because that's usually, well, it's always where the most air is coming out, because it's coming out of the brush and going this way. So that meat skewer is doing the job of kind of keeping it down. The other side, the air is actually doing that. So like the right hand side of his eye socket right here, the air is actually holding it down, which is nice. But again, light layers, and what I'm doing is I'm just going over it and over it, letting it dry, and then doing the next pass. And that's true with even the smallest, like in the nose on this thing, there are some micro small cutouts. This template, by the way, is an Airsick stencil. So in case you were saying, wow, that's really cool, where can I get that? Airsick stencils is where you get those. I am a template holic. I love them. I don't get to use them all as much as I would like to, but I love getting all the different shapes and stuff. There's some really cool ones. Of course, Art Tool really started all that madness back in the late 80s, early 90s. And they have an amazing assortment. There's Tommy Ham, and again, Airsick has a bunch of them, and they're so many good templates out there. A lot of fun. I think that'll do the example for us. So now when I pull this one, I'll show you the two side by side. That's ridiculous. I'll get you closer. As close as I can get, I guess. So that's not adhesive, right? That was just a template. But if you look at the two side by side, let me fold this a little bit so you can see it. It's like night and day, the difference. You know, it's like, if I didn't tell you that was not adhesive mask, or if I told you that was an adhesive mask and you didn't see me do it, there would be no question that was done with an adhesive mask. It's like there is no underspray on the white part of this at all. But on this one, it's like a soft fuzzy mess, which I shouldn't say a soft fuzzy mess, because you can work with this. It'll look different when you're done. But if you're looking for a real tight, kind of edge on that, then those are the two things that I keep in mind all the time when I'm working on these. Hold the template down where you can, and then work as light of layers as you can, even if you're going for saturation with it, and that'll do the job for you. All right. That being said, let's move on. This is fun. Today's more casual than all the other stuff. Wait, what I miss, Adrian? Our wedding anniversary is tonight, 26 years, so tonight's drink is champagne. Got to go by. Oh, that's awesome, Adrian. Cheers to Adrian. Congratulations on 26 years. That's awesome, Adrian. Oh, man, that's awesome. Those HD templates that you mentioned in one of your live streams has turned out to be a game changer for me. Yes, right? I love those things so much. It's so much fun. And it's totally different than what we were just talking about. Although the application is pretty much the same. You want to go in light layers with those too, but that's more of a drawing. Love working with those. So much fun. All right, let's get back on this now. See what we got. La 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 la. So I got the pink now. That's all done. Those are done. Yeah, so we're ready to kind of... yeah, let me do that first. Okay. All right. What I'm thinking is, I'll kind of fill you in on the fractured thought process. Here's a reference. There's the painting. So the things that are missing from the red right now, there is also a kind of, here you can see it really well, this darker value here for the red, but that also appears as a fade in this area here and on that little wedge up there. So, and down here too. So there's a little bit of that. Basically, that's going to be just black that I'll spray on that. But what else is going on here is these louvers in the front. I don't have them all in yet. See, there's louvers missing, or red missing. So I got to put the red in, but also there's that black in there as well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the louvers first with the red, and then move on to the darker color, and then all the red will be done. There are no real strong highlights on any of this, so that's it's not like the Impala, which had the the showroom highlights on it, or the Corvette, obviously, that had all that going on it. The Ferrari, this painting it's funny, the red is a big part of it, but really the star of this is the wheel in this painting. And then obviously the Chevy, the Bel Air, had a lot of the highlights too, but this doesn't have any highlights on it. So yeah, all right, so let's get the red done. Now, the question is do I want to airbrush this, or do I want to just paintbrush it? Do I have red in the brush? That may answer the question. I do. I have red in the airbrush, so I think I'm going to airbrush it. Well, it's going to be both, but I'm going to start it with the airbrush. And what that's going to allow me to do is get all those louvers in the right spot right off the bat. So I'm going to grab a new template. Yeah, the HD templates, HD stencils are out of this world. Incidentally, I'm going to mention this now. Let me just run over because I got to make sure I get the code right. Hold on. Dang it. Okay. It's the code is my name for HD stencils, but I can't remember if it's Steve or Steven. So if you would like, or if you're buying those HD stencils, I believe the discount is still active on those. So just for fun, if you go to the very first open studio on the Harley painting, the one I'm working on right now, I either have the code in the description, or I have the code. I know I say what the code is, and then I'll try to pull that up and get it. But yeah, it'll save you a little bit of money if that code is still active, which I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, they're great. You literally send them whatever photo you have, your reference photo, in the size that you want, and they will send you back the most amazing template. What am I doing? I don't want this one. All right, I don't want that one. I want this one. That's what I want. I've been curious, when you jump back and forth between airbrush and regular brush, how do you get them to blend together so smoothly? So that's a great question. So everything has its strength and everything has its weakness. So the way that I get those two to blend together is you push each one as far as you can. And I'll show you a little, it's easier showing a quick diagram. Like, oh, that's my plan. Oh, in case you were watching Tech Tuesday about the whole attack plan, that's part of what the attack plan is. So that's just a random copy that I have, but that's my planner. I'll share that next Tuesday. What I need to do is I need to find a blank piece of paper, though. Come on, man. I'm recycling paper, so I have lots of things on the back. Yes, exactly. Regular brushwork, it does look super harsh. So here's the deal. This is how it works. This is there's a lot to it, but this is the simple version of it. So if this is your, this pencil is not happy right now. Oh, I thought I threw this away. Okay, so here's your airbrush. And what your airbrush does really well is soft fades. What it has a harder time with is like micro detail, right? So this is its range right here. So it does this really, really well, right? But it doesn't, it's difficult to do super high detail with an airbrush because of the way that works. So the paintbrush, what happens with the paintbrush is like this. And I'm specifically talking about like my paintbrush, this teeny weeny detail oriented paintbrush. So the paintbrush does, oh, this pencil, I don't know why I threw it out. All right. Trulu's to the rescue. All right. Soft. Okay, so this little tiny brush right here does incredible detail, but it can't do a wash very well because it's so tiny. You just can't spread it out. Everything looks streaky, right? So the trick is right now, or when I was first getting into this, and my original paintings were either all airbrush or all paintbrush. I didn't mix the two. And when I did mix the two, there was just what Lewis is talking about. You can see the difference between the two techniques. What I was doing was I would use the airbrush from here to here, for instance, and the paintbrush I could use from here to here. So what you're seeing is this gap between them, right? So what I really worked hard to do was push the airbrush as far as I could into the detail range, right? And then the other side of it is you push the paintbrush as far as you can into the range that it doesn't want to go. So I really work hard to try to see how much of a fine wash I can get out of a paintbrush, that soft transition. The magic happens right in here. So when you twist these two together, you can't tell how it was done. The more time you can spend in this range right here, that's the total win. If all you're doing is you're relying on the airbrush, you're really definitely relying on its strengths to do those soft fades. You don't have to really rely on the paintbrush to do that. But if you're really relying on the paintbrush to do the soft fades, the paintbrush can't do that. So now you have the strengths of the airbrush, but then it bleeds into what the paintbrush can do. The same thing with all the micro detail, those really super small paintings that I do. All the jumbo detail is done with the paintbrush. I can't do a lot of that with the airbrush. However, as I push the paintbrush into the area that the airbrush can do, it's this area here that really mixes it together. So that's the goal. The goal is to really work on each end of the spectrum for each one of the tools you got. And that's it. So there are different, and of course, this is where it gets complex. This right here is the scale for like the micron and the Winsor and Newton 00. That's right here. If I take this out and I put in a Eclipse CS, this scale is totally different. I can't get the crossover, you know what I'm saying? Because the CS can only produce detail, and I'm being general here, but the CS maybe can only produce detail to here, and then it can do all the soft stuff too, this way. So I can't cross the two together because this brush is too small for that bigger, heavier brush. The same thing works the other way. If I have a micron, the micron's back, but then I have like a, I don't know, like a number 7 Winsor Newton brush or number 9 Winsor Newton brush, a big old watercolor brush. The watercolor brush can't get down into the detail range that I need it to do. So again, now there's another gap. So hopefully that explains it. I hope. All right, what was I doing? I was painting stuff. All right. Gotta grab my copy here. Oh, no problem, Lewis. Hope that helped. Yeah, Tone, do it. Tone, I hope this, if you're still here, Tone, I hope the season picks up, excuse me, in the flea market. That place should be banging, and I hope it is. I hope you get more work than you know what to do with. Big Mountain, that's exactly it. The sweet spot, the zone, the bliss area. All right. So what I got to do is I got to get these thin red lines in here that I didn't have in the original template. So the nice thing about this is since I've got the red already painted out, and don't forget I'm using only Pyrrole red for the main red color in this. I'm not mixing up a red or anything. I didn't mean to do that. So it's super easy to match this color because I'm using the color that red out of the bottle. So it helps a lot. You don't often get that luxury. Sometimes, or more times than not, I'm mixing up a color specifically for a painting. But that's why this series has been such a joy for me, because if you were to, now one of them's gone already. Our buddy Gary has the very first one in this series. But if you were to get all 5 of these paintings together, or 6 of these paintings together at the end, they're going to have all that same red. They're going to share the red across the board, which is good. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting out the spaces between these louvers, but I'm going a little bit farther beyond them so that I can blend it into the stuff that's already on there. Like that. So yes, Scott's feed is tonight, which is going to be fun. He's going to pick up on his crazy Halloween skull. I don't know if someone has a bid on that yet either. Louvers are fun. Now I could do this with a paintbrush, but again, the nice thing about the template is it acts as a drawing guide too. So it puts everything right in the right spot. I don't have to guess where the louvers are. They go in exactly where they need to go. Oh, and happy October to everyone. We're losing all our leaves finally, which means I'll be out in the yard every weekend until New Year's Day. Yes, I was finishing up the raking last year on New Year's Day. Seriously. I love being on the yard. I just don't love being on the yard that much. All right, so there we go. So I think I've got all of them. There are some up here, but they're really faint, so I don't need those. I just need the ones basically in the highlight here. And I think that's going to work. Okay, I'll move this. I'll grab this. I think, what do we got? It's been about an hour. I think we'll go for about an hour and a half, get this kind of in place, because I do need to finish up the 543s for before the weekend, because I'd like to, it's pretty exciting, the grand opening of Youngstown, I get them confused. Youngstown Cycle and Speed is opening up in Lisbon, and like right around the corner from the gallery that I have. So it's run by a great guy named Adam Pratt. So his grand opening is Saturday, yes, which is not tomorrow. So I'm going to be running down there for that. And then on the same day, Youngstown Harley, which is a great dealership right here in Ohio, they're having a big event on Saturday as well. And Keith Sturgeon, our buddy Keith Sturgeon, is going to be painting there all day. So I'm going to go visit him a little bit and say hi. So it's going to be a good running around day. But so I really want to make sure I get all these 543s done. All right, I'm not going to have this thing move, so we're going to put a jumbo magnet on that. I still get red in the brush. So now a lot of this is crossover, so I can see a lot of the red that I've already sprayed, and that's great. That's just what I want, because I want to be able to blend, into that. So I'm going to show you this real quick before I spray it, so you get a good feel for it. But there are a lot of gaps in there that haven't been sprayed yet, because I couldn't cut all these out and cut out the red. The whole thing would have fallen out. So same deal here, as I just was talking about with the stencil. I'm going to use the meat skewer to kind of hold this side down. I don't want this blowing, because just having the air under there will really push it up. So that's really what does it. It's not so much that I want to keep this down so it's a tight edge. Just the fact that I'm keeping the whole paper down is going to do the job for me. The other thing I really want to make sure is I want to kind of come straight down on this too. If I come in at an angle, that's going to help push underneath and pull that up. So to get this really sharp, I'm going to have to kind of keep straight at it. The other nice thing about these meat skewers, if you're dealing, say I was painting this long bar here, if that was a cutout, I with the meat skewer, I can hold down the entire thing like this, which you can't do with your fingers. So these things come in really, really handy. All right. I know, shut up and spray it. So this, again, this is really light layers, and this is almost painting on faith, because those cutouts are so small, I really can't see the paint developing in there. So I just got to kind of go through the motions, watch the template, because the template is turning red too. I'll give that side a chance to dry, and I'll do the other side now. Okay, same thing, give that side a chance to dry, and I'll do the first side, driver's side. Actually, there is no driver's side on this. He sits in the middle of it. Good, and this one. Okay, so without moving the magnet, I'm just going to fold this up and make sure I did it. Yeah, it's a little bit light, but you know what? I'm going to leave it, because I don't want to take the chance of having it creep underneath. So what I'm going to do, oh, so I already have it on there. That's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the paintbrush and finish the job. Perfect example. So the airbrush put it all in, but now I got to get in tight to get some of those thinner lines. And the airbrush, with a template, it kind of does it. But if I were to just freehand that, it really wouldn't work out too well. What do I do with my paintbrush? Oh, that's what I do with my paintbrush. Visionaire is great. It's got this little track at the bottom, and wow, that's never happened before. I must have crushed this somehow, but the actual ferrule is bent on this brush. Huh. I've never had that happen before. I don't know how it happened. Clean out this because this has got too much paint in it. All right, there we go. Put some reducer in there. And the reducer for the paintbrush is the same as the reducer for the airbrush. It's 4011. So this is Pyro Red right here. So just grab that. And again, it's the same color, so it's going to match. Ooh, I need the reference photo here. Ah, lovely. So now I can just kind of go back in and strengthen those red areas. Paint is kind of dry. Why didn't I do that over there? This whole area I missed. Okay. Oh, I did that so it wouldn't fall out. I get it. All right, so we'll get that after. Hold on. Perfect. Again, you know, this is exactly, it's the same color right out of the tube, so I know it's going to match. Now, if I was doing this, and I've done it before, if I, like, well, the Harley, for instance, the Harley painting has, where is it? That's not it. This is it. So this right here is the rust color from the Harley. I knew I'd be using it a lot. So instead of having to try to mix it and match it every time, I just mixed up a whole bunch of it. Way more than I'll ever use for that painting, but still. Now, this is essentially like what I'm doing with the red here. If I paint this on the Harley painting, it's going to be exactly the same color because, you guessed it, it's exactly the same color. So if you know you're going to be using a bunch of one color, I'll do this a lot with sky, like the sky color. I'll show you one example of that. They're up here. Oh, well, here's another one. The car rep can I just did that I was telling you about. So the trees were all this color. And I mixed up a bunch of it, and just in case, you know, I have to match something, I don't have to spend the time and, you know, goof around with it. I will especially do that with skies, the sky colors. This is a sky color from a jet painting that I did, the second one actually. So if something happens to the sky, if I, you know, drop paint on it or need to fix it or whatever, I don't have to try to match it. It's already here. So again, if you're doing an area that has a lot, or a critical area that you really don't want to remix the color, just grab some of those 1 ounce bottles. I do a Tech Tuesday on those too. I think I get them from Boston Plastic, and just mix up the color. The great part about Createx is, as long as you don't add reducer to it, you know, it's just paint itself in those bottles. They'll last for a really long time. So, you know, you can reuse that, like the sky color for that other painting. I'll just use it on another painting. It'll just be the sky color for another painting. So, you know, you do end up using them. It's not like the old days when I would mix up, I used to use gouache, which is an opaque watercolor. And it comes in a tube, so you have to reduce all of it all the time. And as a result, I was... anyone who's having a baby, back in the day when you had those glass baby food jars, or even, you know, whoever was, if they just had baby food jars, I would take all of them, and I mixed all my paint in baby food jars, because it's nice, because the old baby food jars were airtight. And so I'd just have hundreds of colors, you know, just kind of mixed up, and they got out of control pretty fast. The colors that I would, because you had to mix everything. So good, good, good. You know, hopefully you're kind of catching what I'm doing. So I'm just really just filling in the blanks on this, putting in any of the light lines. This whole area needs to be red, and I think I have enough in the brush to do that. So I'll probably hit that right before we finish up. And then the only thing that'll be left to do on the red is to add that, you know, that little black, the black shade. What I may do, yeah, let's do that as the last thing, just so you can kind of see some of that coming together. First, let me get this section in here, though. So I need another copy. I can pull that red out. Come on now. There we go. They're upside down. Okay. Okay, so same thing with this. Let's do that so you can see it. So I'm missing the side right here on the louvers. That little area is supposed to be red right there. So in order to get that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out way more than I need. So let's start back here. I definitely won't get all the way back here, but keeping it out of the way is a good thing. Same thing with these louvers. I've already painted all this area between the louvers. So I'm just going to kind of come to points, and I'll flip this over so you can see it when I'm done. But in the middle of the louvers, I'm just kind of coming to a point, because the paint isn't going to get that far over. It's just, if it does, I want to minimize the look of it there, I guess. Yeah, that's good. So the idea is that I've cut out way more than I need. I'll flip this over so you can see it. Looks like that. And I'll show you how that works now. So what's going to happen is when I put this on here, that's going to line up with the louvers in the corner. Yeah, there it is. Like that. Ooh, as I bump it. The idea is to be able to see red in the areas you don't need, because that's what I'm going to end up blending into. So grab my red again. This worked out great, leaving the red in here. Hold that side down. Move the magnet over a little bit more so I can get some of that louver. And then just going to really lightly, all I'm going to do is spray this area that's missing and just kind of fade it into the upper and lower part until I reach saturation on it. And see what I mean about light layers? Like I'm on like pass number 35. Every time I do this up and down, that's a pass. So it's just a really light layer of paint on that. But it's building up real slowly, and it's not going where I don't want it to go. It becomes especially hard from this point on because I'm almost to saturation now, so I can't see the paint going on. So I'm just using that muscle memory and doing the same exact kind of pass that I did at the very beginning, and working hard not to go nuts and try to, spray so hard that I see it. If I do that, then I'm putting on way too much paint. Lovely. Ta-da! Louvers. So the whole point of all that mess was so that I could leave the pink in there. The other way to do this would have been to paint it all red and then to put the pink on here. So cut out all the pink and then just spray that on. So the reason why I didn't do that here is because I was kind of concerned about blue shift. Anytime there's a lot of white in the paint, you get that bluish shift, and I didn't want that to happen. I wanted that pink to be really, just stay the way it's supposed to be. So that's why I kind of did it in reverse this time. That's it. So let's do this front section in the darker color, just so you can see how it develops. And I think that'll be a good place to for me to jump back onto the 543s for the rest of the day. All right, this car show or drive cruise day, or I don't know what you really call it. It's a mansion in Massachusetts, and every year they have this big, they call it a car show, I guess. So anyway, it's on the grounds of the mansion, so all the cars are on grass. So in the morning, there's always dew all over everything. So I'm not going to include that. I don't think it really does much to tell the story here, because it's only on this front panel here. So if it was, if the whole car was like dewy, then that's a whole different thing. But for this, it just, again, it's there and it doesn't help the story at all. So we're gonna not do the water droplets. If you wanted to do the water droplets, well, what that would be is that would be the pink. So I'd put the red on first, and then I'd literally just dot the pink on to put the water droplets on there. But we're not doing that because we don't want to. Yeah, you could do the eraser thing. I don't know if I can show you. The thing with the eraser is sometimes the eraser takes off takes the paint off in kind of a streaky way. So you wouldn't get that, like this pink right here, because this was all the same pink. They're the same pink, you know what I mean? So if I had this as the red and the pink was underneath and I erased off the red, I would get down to the pink. But say I went a little bit too hard on this side and didn't do this side, this would be lighter. You know what I mean? It'd be a different color. So that would be the one trick with doing it with an eraser, I think. Alrighty. Line this up. Put the big magnet on it. So what I'm shooting for is, you can't really see it because it's off the side, is that. So it's darker, but it's not very much darker. So I gotta kind of really spray it and then take a look at it, and spray it and take a look at it, that kind of thing. If I just go for it, I know I'm going to end up too dark. But yeah, there are a million and one ways to skin a cat, and I love cats, and I think that's a horrible saying, but I guess, it's true. There's so many different ways, and that's what I love about tracking down different painters on YouTube. I love seeing how people do things, and man, if you can pick up something that's different than the way you do it, I guarantee, even if it's not the way you adopt across the board, there'll be a moment when you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to work better for this situation, because you have that 10 millimeter socket in your toolbox. You know what I'm saying? All right. So this is reduced black. It's 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer. So it's really reduced. I'm going to push this down on the top part of it because that's where I don't want paint to come in, this paint. And same deal here. I'm going to start with a really light layer, and I'm going to fade it from the top to the bottom. It's going to be darker at the top than it is on the bottom. Not by much, but just enough. That may be enough, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do to make sure, slide this magnet up, and then I can pick it up and look. And again, all right, so I didn't think that was enough when I was spraying for real. I thought it might be enough. It's actually almost on the verge of too much. That's how fast it happens. Hooray. Now, one thing that concerns me is, though, that is not lined up. I don't know what's going on there. Because I didn't have it lined up. Ruh-roh. All right. So I didn't have it lined up correctly. You guys are supposed to stop me from doing dumb things. Let's fix this. I guess we're going to go longer. All right, so now I get to show you how I fix screw-ups. So what happened was, I was concerned with this highlight up above, and I lined up to that. But really, that's not where this shadow is. What I should have been looking at is all the, like, a great way to line this up would have been to look at the suspension and the headlights and stuff. Had I done that, I would have seen that I was too high, but I didn't. I went off of that highlight, and I thought that was right, and I was incorrect. I missed it by that much, all right? So we're going to fix that, and here's how we're going to do that. First thing we're going to do, now this, ironically, the top part of it isn't really the problem. There should be a band of red there, which we'll take care of. But it's really the bottom that's the problem, obviously, because you can see it. It's totally off. So what we got to do is we got to straighten that out. So we're going to put this back on, but this time we're going to put it in the right spot, the correct spot. And I'm going to check the rest of the template to make sure I am actually in the right spot, and I am. All right. So the trick is I have the dark color already on here, but down here I don't. I have a band that is not painted. So what I have to do is I have to spray this band without getting paint on the top part up here, because that's already done. So I grab another copy that has a straight edge, or I grab a template that has a straight edge if it's long enough. That is long enough. That's perfect. Okay. So what we're going to do is, let's move the magnet up here for a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block off the part that I have the paint on. I need a bunch of light for this because I got to be able to see what I'm doing. So what I want to do is I want to line this up. Actually, you know what I got to do first? See how I have paint on the edge of this? And I know you guys, it's super bright, but actually I'll turn on the ISO for you guys so it's not so crazy bright, but I need it super bright. All right, first thing I got to do is I got to clean off this template so I can see what I'm doing. There's a bunch of paint on there that can't be there for this. So I'm going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a shop cloth here. This is just, I love these things. I usually have two types of paper towels here. I'll have just a regular, kitchen type paper towel, and then I'll get these shop paper towels, the blue ones from the hardware store. Auto body places sell them. They're great because they're super durable, and that way, for the real rough stuff like that, I'm getting ready to throw this one out, but for the real heavy duty cleaning, like stuff like this, I'll use the shop cloths, and then for just like cleaning glass and fun stuff like that, I'll just use the regular paper towels. All right, so there's your template. It's all clean. Again, that was isopropyl rubbing alcohol. We'll do that. Make sure this is dry. Thanks. Don't do it. Thanks. All right, so now these templates are great because the Medea ones, because they're translucent, you can see through them. So what I'm going to do is I can now get right on that edge. What I want to do is I want to be right on the edge, like just covering it, like that. So I'm going to take one pass, or maybe no, 3 or 4 passes on this, not very much. Nice and super dry, again, light and dry. Now I'm going to move this off and see where I'm at. I kind of missed over here. It's a little bit like dark. I was a little bit too high, so there's an overlap, which is what you really, 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 really want to avoid, having that, that overlap, because it creates, I'll show you what happens. So I'm going to do 2 more passes, and I think I should be ready. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's good. There is a line there, but I can also fix that too, like that. So that's it. So what I was talking about with the line, let's do this. So here's the part I already sprayed, right? And there's the part I want to catch that up. So obviously, if I am like on the edge here, but I'm overlapped, like I'm not overlapped, when I go to spray this, I'm going to get a dark line in the middle of it, which is even worse. It makes the problem even worse, which I do have on this painting, but it's not too bad. The other obvious problem is if you do this, if you're not quite, like if you're over too far, you're going to end up with a white line in between. Which, if you need a white line, that's a good way to do it. But if you're trying to match the colors, that's not a good way to do it. What you really want is, so there's the part I'm trying to match. You really want to be like right on it so that when you spray the other side, so when you spray the other side, you get nothing. You know, you don't see anything. It's fixed. So that's how I do it. Well, I'm glad that worked out. We got a little screw up in there to mess around with. So that whole thing is there is a little bit of a line there, but it's not killing me. So I'm gonna leave it alone. Well, actually no. You know what? I'm gonna fix it because we got to fix it anyway. So I got that line there. So the way I get the line out of there, the best way to do it is to make everything around it a little bit darker. No, that's not a straight edge. Woo, it's close. There we go. All right, so I'll show you another good trick too. This only works with opaque colors. So here's the other good trick to do. So okay, so I put that in the wrong spot. I did my repair or started my repair anyway. I need that other template. Oh, the one I just cut out. That's the one. I'm going to put this back in the right spot. So this trick only works when you have opaque colors. Now, fortunately, the red is opaque red. So I can grab the red again, and I can just go over the whole thing. Actually, I'm going to bump this up a little bit, meaning I'm going to make it a little bit thicker so it covers a little bit better. So I'm going to put 2 drops of red in there and a little bit of reducer just to kind of loosen it up a little bit. So again, you can't do this with transparent colors. They'll just keep getting darker and darker and darker. But opaque colors will do what opaque colors do and cover, which is what we want. The number one thing with a repair, you know, when something bad goes, when what could go wrong goes wrong, is don't panic. You know, don't freak out. Just relax. You know, you do more damage. I know I do more damage to something like this when I'm like absolutely like, oh my God, I got to fix it right now. And then you just end up screwing it up hard. Worse. So same thing. I developed this with light strokes, so I'm going to fix it with that too. And with that, ta frickin' da. It's all set. So there you go. I love Thursdays because I get Steve's feed in the morning and Scott's in the evening. Yeah, no, I love watching Scott's feed. That's awesome. I do love to clean my templates. Spy day every so often. Yeah, Simon, cleaning templates is a great thing, especially with like, you know, like the Air 6 stencils or these real detailed type templates, those little tiny openings gets clogged up really fast. So it's nice to be able to clean those out. The only ones obviously you can't do, don't do this. As soon as I find one, well, I have the outside of it. The texture effects templates, any of these paper type templates from our tool, do not soak them. You won't have them anymore. You don't need to clean these. They're inexpensive enough that you can just buy new ones when they're totally gummed up. However, the ones from like, where is it? Like Tommy Ham's, like this one, this is plastic. So when this gets gummed up, you can soak this for a little while. And I usually use rubbing alcohol for these. Although you can use airbrush reducer. And then you just dab them and they clean up. So those are fun. All right. So there you go. I screwed it up and I fixed it, and that's what we got. Switch over here. No, I won't. Now you get the palette, the full-on palette cam. I have a switcher for the switcher. So I can switch back and forth between the palette cam and this one here. And I forget to switch it, and that's what happens. So there you go, kids. So that's your Thursday. Yeah, I like it when things get screwed up. That's fun because not everything always goes right. In fact, most of the times things don't go right. It's all about fixing it. So that's good. I'm a big fan, or but I am a big fan of Tested with Adam Savage. And ironically, he just had his latest video was stuff going wrong with his lathe, and spent the whole episode working on that and problem solving it. And he brought up a really good point. It's like, you know, I really love watching videos where someone has a problem and then fixes that problem, because that, you know, that's just as valuable to me than getting the tips on how someone does something right. So yeah, it's good when that happens. So these live feeds are good for that too. That's what I got. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I hope you all stay safe and do something fun. Get outside in our waning summertime, pre-fall. And if you're in Australia, then happy spring. And that's what I got. All right. So have a good weekend. Be safe. Be good. I will catch you guys next time. Thank you again for everything, for the likes, the subscribes, the super chats, the memberships. It is all keeping this going, and I could not be happier. I love doing it. So here we go. All right. I'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend, and I love you. All right. Bye.